Let's talk about spacing between letters and between words. Okay, so spacing, the fundamental concept that underlies spacing in cursive script is our connective slant. All right, so just as an approximation, I'm going to draw in our 30-degree connective slant like that, which we've talked about. So we'll say this is about 30 degrees. And it is the strokes that go on this connective slant, like our overturns and our underturns, which are going to control the spacing of our script. All right, so you notice, let's say we're writing the word in, and this entry stroke is on our connective slant, and then connecting the I to the N, that's on our connective slant, and our exit stroke is on the connective slant as well. All right. So it is this connective slant that actually controls the amount of space that is in between these two letters, okay? Because if we were to write on a more vertical connective slant, so let's say we had a connective slant, and remember our main slant is 60 degrees, so that's something like that. So let's say we did a main slant of more like 75 degrees, like that, and a connective slant of like 40 degrees, like that. And that's probably more like 45, okay? So let's say that's 45-degree connective slant, and then this main slant is like 80 degrees. All right, let's go with that. So this is going to be a more vertical script. Our letters aren't going to be leaning as much to the right. They're going to be more up and down, and we can see what that looks like if I try to do it. So it's going to be more up and down like this, and then our connective slant. Oops. Let me do it again. So I started doing the end the wrong way. These different slants have me all messed up. All right. This script's going to look more like this, okay? And you can see here our main slant is that more upright, and then our connective slant is more upright as well. And when you have more upright slants, now we have a much tighter space in between our letters. All right. And then the opposite would be true for a more shallow connective slant. So if we did a connective slant, or even shallower than that, maybe like this. Now we're writing on a even more tilted slant, and we're going to have even more space between these letters, okay? Because now we're writing on this slant, which is even shallower. All right, so if you're having problems with spacing, check your connective slants. Check your entry strokes, your strokes between letters, and see what slant you're writing those strokes on. Get your protractor out, get your ruler out, draw a line. And that's exactly what I would do in this case, is I would get my ruler and I would actually measure. I was like, all right, let me start at this point here and draw a line through there. And I would get a pencil out and draw that line. And then I could use a protractor to measure the angle between that line and my baseline. And then that'll tell you what your connective slant is. If you don't know how to use a protractor, there's lots of videos online on how to do that. And you can obviously get one online or get one at your office store, or even a Walmart type of place as well is going to have a protractor. Your grocery store might even have them in the school supply section. So I would check my connective slant. Make sure you're around that 30-degree angle area, or whatever you want your slant to be, depending on the style you're going for. And then just make sure it's consistent between letters, okay? Now, if we're looking at spacing between words, say we're writing two words like in a, so I'll write in, I'm going to finish that stroke like that, my exit stroke, which is important. Then I'm going to start my next word, a. All right. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm finishing my exit stroke on my connective slant, And then I'm visually thinking about a line straight down through like that. And then I'm starting my entry stroke for the next word at that same place on that perpendicular line. Okay. And then I'm drawing my entry stroke for my next word starting at that point on the connective slant. So this is on a connective slant as well. All right. And this creates a nice spacing between these two words, because the word really, I mean, visually the word ends around here. The word in and the word a visually starts around here, and there's just these connective strokes in between that create the space between each word. Now, if I wasn't doing a connective stroke on that a, I might give it a little more space. So I'll do in again. Always going to finish with the connective stroke like that most of the time. And then with my a, I probably would start my a. I'd probably kind of just pretend like I'm doing that entry stroke like that. So sometimes I won't put an entry stroke on it, the word a, or any word that starts with a or G, for example, or D. And I'll just leave a little space as if I was putting in that entry stroke. Starting again, think of that perpendicular line and just kind of imagining that's where my entry stroke would be. So I'll just start the letter here. All right. And this whole, just imagining that vertical line is really the way to keep things spaced out. You could space things out a little bit more if you'd like to, if you like that look, but that's all the space you need, and you definitely don't want to go inside of this line. You don't want to be putting things any closer than this vertical line. You don't want your exit stroke and your entry stroke crossing over, really, unless you're doing more fancy stuff, which we're not getting into with this course. But to keep things uniform, keep things uniformly spaced, think about your entry stroke ending on the connective slant, and then just drawing a line straight down from that ending point and starting your next entry stroke right there.